What's going on, Sports Wars? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost and GeeksGamers.com, and we are now more than halfway through the NBA season, and there is something wrong with the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James and the team that he assembled is under 500, 21-22 to be exact. Good enough for 8th seed in the West. A disappointing season so far for LeBron James. Of course, it doesn't help that Anthony Davis has been banged up. LeBron himself has been banged up at times, but he's the one that put this team together. He brought Carmelo there. He brought Russell Westbrook there. And you have to imagine he expected better than 500 basketball. But now LeBron's getting called out because, as we have seen so often, especially over the last several years, LeBron James just gives up during games sometimes. He'll just give up. He won't run to the other side of the floor. He'll give up on defense, standing around. It seems like sometimes the only person he cares about on the floor is himself. And now Kwame Brown is calling his ass out. Kwame Brown blasts LeBron James for checking the stat sheet during the game. Kobe Bryant would never have done that. And you can see this still picture right here. Let's zoom in. You can see LeBron checking stats during a game where they're getting blown out. They are getting the shit kicked out of them. And you see Russell Westbrook spying that LeBron is looking at his numbers, looking at the stat sheet while the team is losing. But let's let Kwame Brown explain it from his perspective.
I looked at a video of Carcino when he showed LeBron watching the stat sheet on the bench. And I looked at Russell Wilson, I looked at his Westbrook, I looked at his face as he looked at a man watching the stat sheet in the middle of the game. And when I saw brother LeBron watching the stat sheet, that told me all I needed to know on why the Lakers are losing. That told me all I needed to know why that team is not connected on defense. Because I played since Little League, since high school.
This isn't just something that came up out of nowhere. Over the past several years, LeBron's always, maybe not hustled back on defense because he was trying to get a call or whatever. We've seen that from time to time. We saw him cherry pick a lot during those Miami years as well. But of recent years, it just does seem like he really gives up a lot on his team. And if I was a Laker, I wouldn't be very appreciative of that, especially if we're losing and this dude is on the sidelines checking out his numbers.
High school, and all the high school coaches around the world can attest to this. They would never, high school, college, whatever, they would never allow a player to watch a stat sheet on a bench, especially while they're losing. What is that stat sheet teaching you? It's not teaching you anything. I used to make sure if we lost a game, I wouldn't let nobody on our bus touch a stat sheet. We lost. What the fuck are we looking at the stats for? So for LeBron to be looking at a stat sheet on the bench, for all you young guys out there, I'm not taking anything away from the way he plays the basketball game. He's still great. He's still going to go down in the history as a great player. But that was the wrong message to send. That was horrible. And none of you players should ever emulate that. Because
could you imagine, Michael Jordan with his team losing, sitting there on the bench, looking at his numbers, saying, I gotta get a couple more assists, couple more rebounds, gotta get a couple more points while the team's getting blown the fuck out? God.
If players could discipline other players, and if coaches can discipline these superstars, which seeming to be the hardest thing to do in the world now, then he should have never been put back in the game because of that. Ain't no way in the hell. Kobe Bryant would have never done that. Matter of fact, if Kobe Bryant would have caught anybody doing that, it's on. You might get jacked up. And if the leader of the team is doing that, and then you can see videos of him standing on defense, it's like, what are you really doing? What are you really out there for? What are you really out here for at this point?
And that's a great question. I think it's probably one that some other teammates of the Lakers are probably asking themselves as they sit there again, middle of the pack in the Western Conference, 21-22. Now, granted, it's a crowded Western Conference. They go on a little win streak. They can probably get up to 5 within the next 2 weeks or something like that, but they need to get it in gear. They're lucky that they're going to have this play-in tournament. LeBron James is lucky they're going to have a play-in tournament in the NBA. Otherwise, they might just be out of the playoffs by the time they actually roll around. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that Kwame Brown has a point about LeBron James checking the stats while they're losing? Let me know in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.